Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe to daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is July 29th, 2025. And all I'll say is respect resistance. Respect resistance. Most people, whether they be analysts, influencers, regular market participants, are telling you why you should be bullish right now. Why? Because of the rates, because Trump's buying, because BlackRock's buying, because X, Y, and Z's going on. You should be bullish on Bitcoin, on all the altcoins, or actually just the altcoins that they like. And why? That is happening right now, despite what is very clear in the chart. So what we're going to do today is just look at the charts. We're going to try and objectively analyze why the charts are bearish in the immediate short term, not only for Bitcoin, but also for altcoins. So if that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get started with Bitcoin on the daily time frame. Okay, I said this yesterday, but it stands, or it bears repeating rather. Okay, despite all that's been said about technical analysis, different schools of analysis, be it Wyckoff, Dow, Elliott wave analysis, I feel like the best analysis is the simplest, and all good analysis can be distilled to just a few very basic principles. One in particular, and that is buy on support, sell at resistance. That is the key. That's like buy low, sell high. That is the gist of everything that we do. And then from there, you can get more specific. You can talk about time frames. You can talk about divergences. You can talk about timing the market, right? But at the end of the day, you should have a good and solid and comfortable understanding of that precept. You sell at resistance, you buy at support, and you'd be surprised at how many influencers, huge accounts, how many traders, huge accounts, are telling you to buy resistance. That is factually incorrect. Right here, you're looking at 300 days or so of price action, okay? And which is likely a channel, okay? You can dispute it if you like, but it's likely a channel. Some people have said, oh no, this is an inverse head and shoulders. Okay, I guess if you say so. But at the end of the day, you're at resistance. Whether you decide that this is an inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern, whether you decide it's a channel, whether you decide it's anything else, this right here is unquestionably a resistance level. And this is peaking above resistance right here. Peaking above 300-day resistance. So whatever you like to say, you're at resistance here. And what do you do at resistance? You sell into strength. You sell resistance. What do you do at support? You buy support. That's TA 101. That's trading 101. That's keeping your money 101. That's not, that's out trading, or that's sort of exactly what you're supposed to do in the markets. And this is a high time frame analysis. So remember, the higher time frame, the more cogent, the more rigorous, robust the read typically. Okay, so that's big one on the high time frame. Small time frames, intraday. Let's go down to the 4 hourly. Okay, what do you see on the 4 hourly? Well, for about 2 weeks we've been in this range right here, right? And let's designate it with a nice channel. So we're going to use our channel tool, and we can see that there is a resistance level about here and a support level about here. Okay, so this is a channel, right? You can see channels left and right. On the weekend, I incorrectly said that we were in a symmetrical triangle, like so. Okay, I said this is a symmetrical triangle that Bitcoin's in. Sorry, I just pressed a button. I don't know what I pressed. Let me clean this up. Sorry, one moment. Okay, I said we're in a symmetrical triangle and we're breaking down from the symmetrical triangle, retesting it, and we'd get a breakdown. We did not get that breakdown. We went up. We invalidated that idea of a symmetrical triangle. Again, so 2 points. 1, that was wrong. 2, didn't matter. Why didn't it matter? Substantively, to my personal trades and to my general analysis. 1, because it's an intraday read on the market. So it's more of how something's playing out. And it's a best guess based off of the analysis, based off of the price action that you're getting in this local region. And it was invalidated. So does that invalidate the bearishness of Bitcoin's market at this point? Absolutely not. This is the beauty of high time frame analysis. You do your analysis that really is worth anything, that's worth your hard-earned money, that's worth your sanity and your peace of mind. Do it on the high time frame. Jump down into the small time frames if you want to fine-tune things, if you want to play around, if you want to give a best guess scenario. But when that small time frame analysis, right or wrong, plays out, it should never trump what happens on the high time frame. And the high time frame hasn't changed. So now that we've invalidated this symmetrical triangle, and also the second point is, this is just an aside for those of you who care, but I made a remark saying that symmetrical triangles are rare reversal patterns. I've personally never witnessed one, but apparently it was happening, and lo and behold, it's not. So again, symmetrical triangles usually are there for continuation, not necessarily reversal. So here we have a channel, and it's kind of a falling wedge, but not quite. But essentially it's a channel. So what is it? You have a resistance, you have a support, and you have a midline. Very important. So if you're bullish, what's the scenario? You already know. Channels break from the midline. So if you're bullish, you want to find strength at that midline and finally break the channel. If you're bearish, you're going to break the channel from the midline, retest it as support. You're going to break support at the midline, retest it as resistance, and then break the channel. Very simple. So on the smaller time frame, so intraday 4-hourly time frame, is Bitcoin bullish or bearish? All of your ideas aside as to what a Bitcoin cycle looks like, who's buying BlackRock, Michael Saylor, Trump, when rates are going to be cut, all that aside, it's extraneous, it's noise. When you're doing your chart analysis, you want to look at the candles first and foremost, and you want to try to block everything out, anything that may influence, bias your read. And so if I'm looking at this not knowing anything, let's say I didn't even know the asset, I would say this is not showing strength on support. If I see strength on support, what does that look like? That looks like a lot of bullish hammer candles. So when you come to this level, quick candles with strong wicks down here showing that buyers are stepping in. When I see multiple tests at my midline, which should be my supply zone, which should be where my buyers step in, and it comes down multiple times, I'm expecting an eventual break of this. Now, Again, this is small time frame analysis, intraday analysis. I think we eventually get that breakdown. Like I said, retest of the midline, lost support as resistance, and then a continuation down to our target. So that is the analysis. That's Bitcoin on the high time frame, Bitcoin on the smaller time frames. No noisy, this person bought, that person bought, how much. It doesn't matter. What matters is that these candles encompass all the buying and selling done actually and in the past, and should have the whole story of who bought, who sold, when they bought, when they sold. So all you need to do is properly analyze what's in front of you, the red and green candlesticks. Okay? And they are telling us unequivocally that Bitcoin is bearish on the smaller time frames, and it's bearish at the higher time frames because it's at a zone of resistance. That is a fact. Okay? So be very careful, because the narrative in most circles, social circles, trading circles, is that Bitcoin is bullish in the immediate short term, and it's any moment now we're going to break. Be very careful, because there is no such bullishness in the charts. Okay, let's quickly look at Ethereum, because there's a lot of talk about how Ethereum is super bullish and Ethereum is holding this and that level. And despite Ethereum not breaking down as much, I want to show you why Ethereum's equally bearish. Okay? And again, it's not complicated. It is not a complicated read. The analysis, usually when it's good, when it's reliable, is straightforward, and it's elegant. It's simple. A very, a child can understand it. What am I looking at on this chart? So I flipped to Ethereum, right, against USDT, and I'm on the weekly time frame, very high time frame read. What am I looking at? Well, I'm looking at price action lasting about 1,500 days here. So I'm going to ask, is this support or resistance? That's 1,500 days. Is this support or resistance? This is clearly resistance. So, resistances are meant to be broken. Don't get me wrong. They will indeed break eventually. But there are ways to break resistance. Let's not get into that for now. All I'm going to say is this support or resistance? This is resistance. Is this support or resistance? This is support. Is this a midline? Yes, indeed, it's a midline. Henceforth, we have this teal or turquoise channel. And this is the resistance of the channel. This is the support of the channel. This is the midline of the channel. That's the analysis. This is why you should be a seller of ETH at these levels. Right here is a 1,000+ day resistance that you're at. Whatever you do, whatever you may do, you can play around here for ages. You're at resistance, you should be selling. This was resistance. This was resistance. This was resistance. This is also resistance. Expect a move down. Now, channel trading 101, we're going to add a layer of complexity here. Again, for those who don't know, channels are quite simple. They're useful because they allow for high probability reads of price action. When you're in a channel, you want to really focus on the midline. Very few people understand this. When you're bullish in a channel, what you're going to do is you're going to retest the midline, find strength at the midline, and then break bullishly. When you're bearish, you're going to break down below the midline, retest the midline as resistance, and then break down bearishly. The channel midline, you can think of it as the price at which buyers and sellers have agreed that the asset is fairly valued at. So it's the fair market value of the asset. Like, some people are buying and selling all over this range, but this is the median of the asset's value. Like, buyers and sellers are in agreement that this is the fair value of the asset. This is why the midlines are so important. There's a reason why the midlines are also called the heart line of the channel, right? You want to always pay attention to the heart line of the channel. So again, one could say, oh, Dean, this is a retest of the midline right here. It's not. This was chop at the midline because midlines are resistance when you're below it, support when you're above it. A proper retest of the midline looks something like this. And retests of the midline happen from the top to the bottom or from the bottom to the top. Okay, so that's Ethereum on the high time frame. Let's do exactly what we did with Bitcoin. Smaller time frame read. What are you seeing? Well, Ethereum is also kind of in, well, I wouldn't say it's a channel. I would say here you're dealing with two attempts to make a higher high. We call that a double top. And again, we're adding a layer of complexity. This can also be distilled in terms of support and resistance. Typically what happens in an asset when you're trying to be bullish is you want to make higher highs and higher lows, right? You want to just matriculate upwards. So what happens? There's an attempt and the failure. There's a second attempt and a failure. Typically in assets, we call this a double top, and assets typically make 2 or 3 tries, but at least twice assets try to make a higher high. And when you see these double tops, they usually signal reversals. A lot of people like to use various indicators for judging whether to be bullish or bearish. Some of these indicators aren't cheap either. They have green dots, they have red dots, they have this and that. Indicators aren't very useful for judging reversals. Why? Because indicators are lagging. Typically, they take the data, the raw data that we're seeing here, these candlesticks, maybe some volume, maybe whatever, some timing, and then they crunch it and tell you based off of this candle close, based off of the number of green candles and all this stuff, this is bullish, this is bearish. It's derivative. What you want to do as a competent trader is get very comfortable with these candlesticks, even if you are using indicators, because indicators are very poor indications of reversals. They are usually going to signify very clearly a trend. Who can't tell that this is trending, right? No crap. That is a trend. But once you get here, then you enter into reversal territory, and then you are initiating a new trend. Indicators are very poor at telling you when to initiate a new trend. Typically, I'm speaking generally, okay? So this reversals, one of the ways you typically see them are in double or triple tops. So be very careful when looking at Ethereum on the smaller time frames. I spy a double top, which is not a strong indication of continuation. It's rather a strong indication of reversal. And my first real confirmation of that is coming back down here, which is the first failure. So that first attempt of making a higher high failed at this level. The second attempt, if it comes back to this level, it fails. That is my first confirmation on the charts that really it's likely to break down more often than not, more likely than not. But I could say, just based off of my experience, just given the looks of this right here, that's enough for me. I'm expecting a move down here or even lower with a really high degree of probability. So that's Ethereum on the lower time frames. I just wanted to say that because Ethereum's very hot right now. Everybody's talking about it. People are telling you how much Trump is buying, how much this and that person are buying. They can see the indications for alt season being very the indications for alt seasons are strong, right? So they're assuming, again, based off of their narrative of how alt season should look, what should lead alt season, that Ethereum is going to break resistance because, why not? Just go to resistance and break it. You don't have to respect resistance. But again, people who have been trading these markets for years, people who are supposedly experts in technical analysis and trading are telling you that this is going to break here. That's not true. And even if it did, and this happens sometimes, and I'll give you an example. XRP broke multi-year resistance. What happens is you break it ever so slightly, then you retest support. This is not where you should buy. Pros never buy this. Pros never buy this. That is a horrible, horrible trade because one, it can reject there, and two, even if it comes up and breaks it, with a high degree of probability, if it's strong, it's going to have to retest previous resistance as support before continuing. So you just wait. XRP is a great example. I'm not going to get into that right now, but all I'm saying is respect resistance, respect resistance, respect resistance. Trading's not that difficult. The hard part is waiting for all of this. The hard part is not getting caught in like, oh, but the price went higher, so it must be bullish. That doesn't necessarily always signify bullishness. Proper bullishness is a retest of support. That's bullishness. You should redefine what is bullish and bearish to you. Anything at resistance, even if the price goes slightly higher in a resistance zone, that should be bearish to you. In your mind, you shouldn't like it. You should feel uncomfortable buying things in high time frame resistance zones. Bitcoin, and let me tell you why this is difficult to do. Bitcoin, let's go back to Bitcoin. And I didn't plan for all of this, but whatever, we're here, so let's keep talking. If you find this useful, just let me know. If you don't, then also let me know in the comments. Bitcoin has been in a high time frame zone of resistance for almost 300 days. That's what makes this difficult. Not the fact that it's hard to spy resistance or support. A child can do that. No disrespect to children. But anybody could do that. It's very simple. The complicated thing is the price goes higher and you want to buy what goes higher. It's just normal, it's natural, and you don't want to buy what's going lower, even if you're at a high time frame level of support. You don't want to buy red and you don't want to sell green. It's just there's something in you that wants to buy green and sell red, but it should be the opposite. So again, Bitcoin for 300 days has been at a resistance level, but for 300 days, people have been so excited about all-time highs, so excited about Bitcoin going up and making green in their portfolio if they're holding Bitcoin. But actually, if you're reading the charts, this as a resistance level should make you very uncomfortable. Buying anything as a hold on a high time frame without an action plan on the small time frames, because small time frame trading, that's a different story. Anything here should make you uncomfortable because oh, that's resistance, because I see broken support here. I see this as resistance. I see this as a retest right there. I know with a high degree of probability we're coming back to this level. Okay, so that's my spiel on technical analysis, where Bitcoin is, high time frame, small time frame. Let's not make this video too long. Let's look at the total 3. What's the total 3 telling us? Well, nothing different than it was yesterday. Again, this is a simple read. Total 3 broke broke resistance down here. It's at a level of resistance over here, okay? This is a level of resistance. Let's zoom out so you can really see. So this is a level of resistance in many ways, right? This is a level of resistance as it's the support level of this 500-day channel. So the bottom of a support level is now, when you're below support, you're at resistance. So this is resistance there. It's also resistance in this scheme, right, of price action. So all of this is resistance. We expect on the high time frame that it retests support. Nothing there has changed. That's the high time frame read. Again, any serious analysis always starts high time frame, goes down to the lower time frames. Let's go down to the intraday 4-hourly time frame. What's going on? Well, similarly to Ethereum, not exactly the same. Similarly to Ethereum, you're seeing evidence of trying to make a high but failing on 2 accounts. You can also even say on 3 accounts. Here you can spy a triple top, okay? And this is your quintessential bearish reversal pattern, head and shoulders, okay? So again, price tried to make a higher high once, failed. Twice, came back to the scene of the crime right here, okay? And 3 times, okay? Again, sometimes this happens in 3, sometimes it happens in 2, but these are bearish signals. So on the small time frame, you can't be bullish on altcoins, generally speaking, having seen this. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You cannot be a buyer at resistance. Again, forget the head and shoulders bearish reversal pattern. You zoom out, you see resistance, you sit on your hands. Either you get in a short, that's another topic though, because shorting takes quite a bit of skill. So let's not talk about shorting. But actually, not buying it's a type of short trade. It's spot shorting, right? Not buying more. Let's say you're even in a trade and you didn't cut it, but you don't buy more here and you wait. That's a trade. You're waiting for support. That is a trade. So again, people can tell you everything they want about what the market's doing, what their indicator 5,000 is doing, what their who bought, what the inflows are on chain, when rate cuts are coming, and what FOMC meeting is going to be held in the coming days. Look at the price action. Price action is king. It's telling you, don't buy now. We're actually going to correct. And what else does it tell you? It tells you you're bearish here, but be damn well bullish here. Be so bullish there, because that is a support level, and you're bearish on resistance. You're bearish at resistance. You're bullish at support. That's pretty much it. This is all I do. This is all I do. That's all my skill. That's all my knowledge. I've told you everything. Everything else is a derivative, is a wrinkle, is a detail on that. That's basically all I know. If you master that, you can do everything I can do. You don't need me. Stop buying resistance. Respect resistance. Be bullish at support, even if it takes a while to consolidate at support. Sometimes we can talk about that. That's another topic for another day. Sometimes you hit support and you rock it up, but sometimes it takes a bit of time and you consolidate at support. But you want to be bullish at support and bearish at resistance. That's it. You do that, you will succeed at this game. You will beat 90 to 95% of all market participants. Forget everything else you know about trading. Forget everything else you know about what indicators are telling you. Do nothing else. All right, that's the total 3. Let's finish the video by corroborating all of this with Bitcoin dominance. And this we've talked about ad nauseum, but we're seeing it play out. Bitcoin dominance on the smaller time frame, intraday 4-hourly time frame, is giving us a very nice level of support. Just like we saw evidence of bearishness where you're trying to make a top and you fail twice, you see the same thing, but opposite in a bullish consolidation where you do what we call a double bottom, right? A W reversal, some people call it, where you go down, you make a bottom, you go down, you make another bottom. So basically price is trying to reverse course it's trying to go back up, and every time it goes back down, it gets bought up again. This likely, typically, reverses trends, and this is where we expect Bitcoin dominance to go. Remember, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, that means Bitcoin's going down, altcoins are going down a little more than Bitcoin. This move is still what we expect. This corroborates our read on Bitcoin, corroborates our read on altcoins. All you need to do is wait for Bitcoin dominance to get up here. This should coincide with altcoins coming down, retesting previous resistances, new support. This is where you buy. There, here, nowhere else. Guys, that's all I've got. If you found value, like the video, share, subscribe, consider tipping me, Litecoin, Venmo, Cash App, all at the pinned comment. And if you want one-on-one advice, services, my services through the Crypto Portfolio Mentorship and Consultation Service, help identifying altcoins that are going to yield sustained gains in this alt season, and help maximize your portfolio by identifying levels of support and resistance, where to buy and sell. You can sign up for that also at the pinned comment. Take care, good luck, and yeah, bye.
My prevalent time slot, I vocalize too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest magnanimous. We body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I